Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back to tomorrow's Ummah podcast. My name is Ali, and today I'm joined with Dr. Abdullah Al Qadri. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.
I think we're going to be talking about another very interesting topic that I know we're going to end up jumping around all over the place with a lot of different themes and um, different ideas. But da'wah, the idea of propagating Islam, inviting others to Islam. Now, it's deeply rooted in what we are commanded to do, and it's also deeply rooted in, our actions. And there's so many new forms of it nowadays. I think just from a high level, I think let's just define da'wah in the first place, and then we can get into all the social media buzz about it.
Sure. I mean, Dawah is literally just calling or inviting people to the religion of Islam. Dawah means invitation. So you're inviting people. I'm inviting you to come in, look at Islam, introduce you to Islam. Do you like Islam? Let me show you what Islam is. And then kind of welcome them, see if they're bite, and then go from there. Now, Dawah doesn't mean compulsion. It's very important. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala speaks to Rasulullah to do Dawah, he uses the word fadhakkir, which means to remind. فَذَكِّرْ إِنَّمَا أَنْتَ مُذَكِّرْ فَذَكِّرْ لَسْتَ عَلَيْهِمْ بِمُسَيْطِرْ, etc., etc. It's remind them. Your job is only to remind. Leave the guidance to Allah. Similarly speaking, if Rasulullah has been commanded in such a way, that same commandment exists for us. And I guess I'll jump the gun here a little bit, but that is not what we do. Some of the da'is, especially those who are beginning,
What's a
or
da'i?
da'i is someone who does dawah.
Yeah.
So these guys, what they do is sometimes they jump the gun and they are forcing people or compelling them to follow.
And so that raises a question, because you said inviting someone is
Yeah.
da'wah, and doing da'i, and being a da'i. So it's not only, speaking to someone and verbally inviting them. Like, there's a whole different world of da'wah as well, which is, being a good Muslim in your work, at home, at school, or whatever it may be. On I see these videos all the time if you scroll through like Facebook or TikTok. It's like you see someone praying in public.
Oh, the one on I don't know if the post production will be able to put it up, but the guy who's blocking up the aisle in the plane.
Yeah,
While
and so
they're
there's bad examples, and then there's good examples. So like there's that example of that man who blocked up the whole onboarding for the train,
Yeah.
for the plane.
Yeah.
And then there's examples of people who like stop. They live in a Western country. They stop. They park their car, and they maybe pray on the sidewalk. We were just at the gym, and we prayed in the corner of the gym.
Yep.
And it makes you think that there's a certain level of comfort that you should have with expressing, your faith, expressing Islam. That's also da'wah, right? That's
Very
not.
much so.
It's not only inviting someone or speaking about it. It's showing them your faith.
And I think, like, for example, praying in public spaces, it's not for everyone. And I mean that with a grain of salt. Like, don't cancel me in terms of Islam, but it's more like not everyone has the bravery or the courage to stand up in a filled mehfil or a gym or a supermarket, even if it's in a secluded corner, and just Allahu Akbar.
Oh, you
begin.
can't. Some people, maybe it's tough to concentrate.
I'm not gonna go out of a limb and guess why it's tough for them. However, once you do it a couple of times, it certainly becomes easier. It's the first couple of times that's really difficult. When you do it a couple of times, you realize the vast majority of the time, no one gives a damn.
Yeah,
you're
I don't think
praying,
anyone could care
and
less.
as long as you're not impeding someone, you're getting in the way, you're not holding up traffic or something like that, I don't think people will ever
like
have
the
an
man
issue.
who is blocking the whole
I mean,
plane.
I don't want to innamal a'malu binniyat. I don't want to
Put it on someone.
I don't want to base or judge his intentions. We don't know the whole story.
Exactly.
Maybe he was there for a long period of time. Who knows? Based on that 15, 20-second clip, this is my personal opinion, I think he should have waited for everyone to come in, then pray.
Yeah, maybe not block the aisle. Like, in any circumstance, even let's put that whole situation aside, we do not make others uncomfortable with our faith.
Yes.
As long as it's not hindering others. So, like, if I work in an office, there are multiple different rooms, and I go to, like, basically the closet, right?
Yeah.
And I make sure that the door's locked, just so they don't feel comfort. and maybe not praying in like in the middle of the kitchen, or praying in the middle of like a conference room or something like that. Finding a way that's a bit more detached so people.
Like, see, I know people who'd have an issue with you praying in a closet, though. It
Hmm,
depends on perspective, right? Because
why would that be so?
that would be an issue, because wouldn't it be better if you were to go, hey, this is my praying time, I'm going to pray, I'm not doing something random, but at least they can see you pray, and that becomes a form of dawah. Because they would argue that, I understand your opinion completely, and most of the Western youth would do it exactly the same way as you. Why infringe on someone else's privilege or rights, or their kind of intuition of what's right and
Well, yeah,
wrong?
I guess it also depends on your environment, right?
Yeah,
Like,
it's because if you're looking at it from a strictly, like, let's say somebody grew up in Pakistan,
mhm.
like Qatar, like Deobandi or Brailvi or someone from a madrasa, and they were to see, and they come into Canada, they'll be like, no, no, pull your trousers up, go make the whole washroom wet with your wudu, show them this is what Islam is, and begin to pray. But that's not how, in my opinion, humble opinion, that's not how dawah begins. You don't force someone to pray. Like, you can't even force your own kids to pray.
Mm.
There's an extent up to 12, 13,
Yeah,
14 year olds, sure.
you should teach them, guide them so that
No,
you don't have
I'm
to.
saying forget about that. How many more times are you going to tell them to pray? When we were younger, did
Mm.
we actually pray? When our
Mm.
parents told us to pray, or was it more like, okay, okay, and it was more like, just, we're doing
Yeah,
the routine, we're doing the culture, we're doing the
exactly. You go through
tradition.
the actions
Yeah,
and.
but we're not actually praying.
Mhm.
There's one of my ustad. He was from Medina. He studied in Medina University. A question was posed to him. It was a pretty big lecture hall. Question was posed to him. How would you, or what do you say to someone who doesn't pray? And he said, don't tell them to pray. That was his answer. Don't tell them to pray. There was some laughter. Maybe he was joking, and he was dead. He repeated it. Don't tell them to pray. If you're my neighbor and you don't pray, for example, for the sake of the argument, let me become your friend. Take over a box of sweets. It's
Mhm.
Eid, give you something. It's Christmas, give you some, whatever the case may be, whatever tradition you may follow, give you something, birthday, whatever, etc., etc. Come over. Let's have some tea.
Mm.
Oh, you don't have anyone to take care of your kids? Come. Oh, I called someone to detail my car. You want to get a free detailing? You want me to shovel the snow? Become friends. As the friendship grows, one day call him over just before a salah, just for tea, some coffee, some snacks. He comes over, azan happens. You get up to pray. Guaranteed, out of the friendship, that man will also want to go up and pray.
Mm.
Whereas if you go up to someone who doesn't pray and say, pray, well, I don't want to talk to this guy.
And that's so intertwined with the concept of sohbah as well.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, very
and
much so.
I just I had a speech a couple weeks back, and I was talking about the concept of companionship,
Yeah,
and how the 2 3 people closest to you, they mold who you become.
yeah,
It's vice versa, right?
yeah,
If you want to bring someone closer to their to deen, or bring them to a good amal, or maybe understand them better, right? Because
yeah.
you don't know what they're maybe going through, why you feel like maybe they're a bit disconnected, they're a bit
Yeah,
sad nowadays. All right, then get closer to them and ensure that you're not letting go of your good actions or your good habits
yeah,
while bringing them close, because dawah is a two-way street sometimes,
very
right?
much so. Yeah,
It can. I'm sure many people who propagate go through a situation where they get in conversations, and we're gonna get into this, like the whole idea of debating, right? Um, that you get in a debate, you're talking to maybe an atheist or something, and they talk about their whole concept of their whole belief system, and you don't have maybe the knowledge, or you don't have maybe the capacity to give them an argument in return, and that for you becomes harmful.
for the religion of Islam becomes harmful.
No, no, no. For you as an individual, you feel like you lost a bit of your
Oh,
faith.
okay, fair enough.
Like,
Fair enough.
what if you're in an argument, and you in that
Somebody
argument,
stumps you so bad, be like, oh, he's got a point.
he's got a point.
Hmm.
And then obviously you're gonna go through a situation, like if that ever happened, I'm sure many people would. It wouldn't just completely change their thought. They would do their research. They would consult their teacher. But in that moment, it's harmful, right?
Yeah.
Because you feel like you tried propagating something, but because you maybe didn't feel well equipped. And actually, I was thinking of asking you, just because, if you feel weak in your faith, should you stop da'wah?
It's a very interesting question. Um, w- Depends on perspective. Again, I don't want to get into this
And I
debate
said
of
feel
Akida.
because obviously you can't say what it like. It's
Yeah,
really hard to
yeah.
define.
There's Iman can be looked at a variety of different ways. One Iman is basically how much you want to pray. Sometimes you're at an all-time high. You're praying 5 times a day. You're waking up for Fajr, staying up for Isha, etc., etc., etc. Sometimes it's really tough to wake up for Fajr. And in that moment, that Iman is weak. But as you actually wake up and begin to pray Fajr, your Iman is back there. So Iman kind of fluctuates. It waves. But at the same time, in my opinion, if your Iman is so weak that it fluctuates to such a degree that you begin questioning, you shouldn't be a da'i. You shouldn't be a da'i that propagates out loud. Everyone's a da'i to an extent, especially female Muslims who wear the hijab.
Is it because they wear the
because
there's a
hijab.
visible representation?
That's you're giving dawah. Somebody with a proper.
You can also make the argument. Okay, obviously it's not the same level. A man who wears a beard, right?
I've said this many times.
It will never match up to the actual visual representation.
Because a beard at this point is more of a fashion statement.
That is true.
And many people wear a beard to hide their god-awful jawline.
Wow.
It's true.
I don't know if that was a jab at someone.
I'm not jabbing at anyone, but it's a fact. Like I've heard kids say, I can't wait till this comes in. Like I'm chewing gum. I'm doing all this exercise because I have no jawline. But once a beard comes in, covers it up.
I mean, to your point, like as well, like it's so interesting how there's two things in public and in social media, how people engage with people who wear with ladies or women sisters who wear the hijab.
Yeah.
Like all of a sudden there is a whole different conversation to be had with them, and you feel like, you know, this person is fully on their deen and iman, and it's a whole different because of the visual. Right?
Yeah.
The identity is very clear. It's like if you saw a brother wearing like a hat, right? Like how we're wearing, right? In the street, or you're wearing a thobe or whatever it is. Like you would have a very different impression. But our sisters, they have that all the time because they're wearing a hijab.
It plays on our biases that are internal. Like for example, I've seen females wearing a hijab and smoking. The two biases don't mix. But because she's wearing a hijab, you know what I think? May Allah give her hidayat. Like I still consider a Muslim. May Allah give her hidayat. Or take it to the other extreme, because some people may look at the same woman, what a bad representation of Islam. However, there's still a representation of Islam. She's still wearing the hijab. Whereas if there's just a woman, whatever, smoking.
Yeah, and obviously as a Muslim, you should say, look to yourself first. Like, you know, chill. Like, at least she's wearing a hijab.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. Easier said than done.
You're not walking around wearing...
Our people are very judgmental.
Yeah, 110%.
Easier said than done.
And especially with social media nowadays, it's like, if you caught a clip of maybe it was a brother wearing a kufi doing something, right? Or if it was a sister wearing a hijab doing something, start ripping them apart.
Yeah.
And
well, the problem is you don't really rip the person to that person. We do ghiba. We go behind their back. Because nobody has the jurah to stand up and say, oh, what were you doing there? Like, unless you're a man of some worth or caliber and you're actually doing dawah to them.
Yeah.
You know, like, what was that TikTok or video in Ridgeway Plaza? All the youth are going to the Yemen. I've never even been to that
the Yemeni coffee.
Yeah, but he's saying it to them.
The brothers are leaving after 8 rakat.
Yeah, and then I don't know if it was in Australia or the US, but there was a sheikh or an imam. He left the Tarawih Salah, went to the local snooker room.
Where Turkey.
I don't know if it was in Turkey.
Maybe, yeah.
I saw it somewhere.
Yeah.
But anyways, and he went there and he began to read the Salatu Salam with everyone there. Because he's like, guys, you're missing out Tarawih. Come here after. This is open all night.
I know there's also a story where he went to like a snooker club and says, if you died right now, would you be happy? Come with me and pray.
Yeah.
And he brought...
And maybe 1 or 2 or 3 don't go, but vast majority went.
Yeah, subhanAllah.
So this is how you do dawah. I have a statement that I often say. If you have the ability, if you have the jurah, if you have the courage, if you dare to say La ilaha illallah, then I dare you to walk your body with Muhammadur Rasulullah.
And that, subhanAllah, like that also puts the approach of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. His mission was da'wah. It was spreading truth. In Makkah al-Mukarramah, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam had started spreading the message, And it wasn't met with a gentle answer. It was the Meccans, they were torturing, persecuting.
Before that, though, when did Dawah begin for him?
That's a good question.
He spent 40 years not doing any Dawah, really.
And being Sadiq al-Amin.
Yeah, him representing himself to be the most honest, the most trustworthy, the best of character, never lied, never cheated, never did riba.
Yeah.
People considered him like
That is reputation.
the pinnacle of
moral character.
Arab.
Yeah,
Like, this guy is him.
Mm.
And then even then he was faced with ridicule.
Mhm.
So if any Tom, Dick, and Harry stands up and they say, I'm a da'i, come, sure, you're allowed to do that. Sure, you want to do that, knock yourself out. But how much worth is your statement going to have?
Mm.
It's like me going without a beard. Keep a beard for the sake of Rasulullah. What are people going to say? Dude, you don't have a beard yourself.
And that's always why, like, and this is very interesting, why Da'wah is very tightly joined with hikmah, with the idea of wisdom.
Yeah.
That when you invite someone for something good, you don't just grab their hand and drag them. Maybe that is the case. For youth, that's most likely the case. If you see a brother doing something wrong, an elder person going and dragging them towards good is sometimes...
I would beg to differ. People don't...
There's
kids
different
nowadays...
ways.
Yeah,
like
kids nowadays...
Yeah, they don't respond well to that.
Yeah.
But in some cultures, maybe that there is that respect there.
Yeah.
Right?
Like,
and
if the father went or the elder brother went.
if the grandfather came and said, like, come.
Yeah.
Come with me, walk
they'd
with
go
me.
begrudgingly, but they'd go.
But they come with you, and then they would slowly, after you explain to them or show them the right path. That's just one example. And then I said hikmah, right? Wisdom. Wisdom comes with when you're at work, when you're at school, when you're with your friends, that because you're a representation, that when they have those confusions, you slowly, you explain it, right? You don't push it on
whether
someone.
through action or words. Like, I'll give you a real life example right now that happened an hour ago or two. We were at the gym.
Mm-hmm.
I took the bar from someone, gave it to one of our brothers.
Yeah.
A guy, very big or whatever you want to call him, angry.
He came
in and he's like, "This is my bar. How dare you take it?" It's how we respond. If we all just ganged up on the guy, it'd be like,
and there was like a good 4 or 5 of us.
Yeah. We're just, like, no, we're right. Blah, blah, blah. We started defending that one person. That goes a lot differently than we'd be like, sorry, take it.
No,
that's
it's
all
just
we
like,
gotta say.
I'm sorry, simple mistake, and we told him to take it.
Yeah, but in the heat of the moment, that's the problem. We don't look at it at the heat of the moment. We all I felt it. Why is this? It's not that. I think you said it. Or maybe I said it.
I said it's not that serious.
It's not that serious. But if we kind of retrospectively just look at it and be like, just apologize.
It's fine.
And
just
the
say sorry.
problem is, it's so tough for kids, youth, elders, every single person that I meet. It's so tough for people to say, I'm sorry.
This, I was looking into this study called the hijack effect, which is that, you would probably know this better about neurology, that in a moment of anger, where if you can control yourself in the first 3 to 5 seconds, you have stopped yourself from being hijacked by your anger, right? And this is where the sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam comes, where he says, if you're sitting, stand, move away from the situation. Drink water.
Do something different.
There's many different
this theory is basically, it can be applied across the board.
And it's been proven to be successful.
When you wake up, you have about 5 seconds to make a decision. In those 5 seconds, you snooze, you turn around, you're asleep.
And for da'is especially, this is so crucial. The idea of getting angry in debate.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. The debates. And here, actually, there's some videos that I was watching, and subhanAllah, the scene in the UK is very strong in terms of street da'wah. Like street da'wah, you go to Regent Park, or I think it's called Green Park. I can't remember.
In UK?
Speaker's Corner.
Oh, in UK, yeah.
Yeah, in the UK.
It's all over YouTube nowadays, Instagram nowadays, yeah.
People of different faiths, of different walks of life, they come, they have their arguments, they have their debates about religion, about faith. And specifically, there was this one conversation about, an atheist and a Muslim brother, and I'm pretty sure the production team will probably share this, but I wanted us to just have a quick listen about him having a conversation with him about atheism.
I don't care whether you believe in God or not. I don't know why you're here. You're wasting your time.
Why do you believe in Islam?
I believe it's truth.
So when you die, where do you go?
Yeah, inshallah, paradise.
And paradise, you get stuff that you
Oh,
always
Allah
want.
Akbar. Yeah.
Okay.
What your heart
Where do I
desire.
go? Where do I go? I don't believe in Islam or God. Where do I
Hellfire.
go? Hell, right?
Yeah.
So that's it.
And I've just paused it. The conversation to the outsider looks heated, in my opinion. Like they're like, maybe because they're surrounded by a lot of people, but they're like
It could be outside.
it
Like
could be outside
it's civil to an extent.
to an extent. This is a lot more civil than what I've seen.
Fair enough.
Fear and reward.
Yeah.
And if I don't believe in God, your God, or someone's interpretation, make the hell hotter so I get scared.
Pause it. I still think it's two level-headed people talking.
Yeah, he's making his point.
He's making his point. The other person listening, he's making his point. One of our production people have a.
I've heard their rebuttal to this. What they say is that we deal with these kind of people all the time, and they're just a lot of them are there to annoy us rather than actually get something out of it. And it is those people that they're hot-headed with.
So production team. I don't know if the mics caught it, but basically they're saying that he's read or he's seen videos where there are people that. The dais, they're basically looking at them and saying, these people we know, they come just to annoy us. Fair enough.
Harass us.
But the responsibility is on the dai. You've put yourself in that situation.
And by the way, this
now,
is like speaker's corner. You know people are going to come and talk to you about.
But so
religion.
now anything you do is a representation of Islam, especially to the audience that you're targeting. So yes, they're there to harass you, but now this is a test of your sabr, of your iman, of your Islam.
And you're in the spotlight.
So you have an added responsibility of conducting yourself the way Rasulullah did.
Yeah.
You don't think Rasulullah had harassers?
We were
Yeah,
just
he did.
talking about Makkah al-Mukarramah.
Yeah.
Like the fact that propagation was the start of Islam and the persecution led to hijrah.
And I don't think in the last 1440 years or so, somebody has had the insides of a camel put on them, apart from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And look how he acted.
100%.
Sabr. His own daughter came to remove it, and then he left.
So let's finish this.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's what psychopath does.
You know man is only motivated by two things in this world, punishment and reward.
Yeah, okay, yeah, I see that in a lot of ways.
So
yeah.
it would make sense that the creator of everything would offer man the greatest reward and the fiercest punishment. It would make sense to motivate man.
So if
So he's using logic here, it sounds like, right? The guy's arguing, oh, I'm an atheist, but you're telling me the creator will just punish me.
And he's arguing that, yeah, because you're either rewarded or you're...
You were given the message.
Yeah.
If I don't believe
does
you
that make
exist in here now, you're gonna put me in hell forever. So
cares?
Is that sort of a big
La,
scene?
la, 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 la. Alhamdulillah, you've heard the message, you've rejected the message, take your medicine.
And then I'm
don't
gonna
care.
go to hell.
Yes.
I need to take medicine for that.
No, no,
reason.
no, no.
Is that your
You-
belief?
No, 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 no.
Hell
Your
exists. Why do you
medicine,
care?
you will pay for your consequences of your life and your choices.
But I go to hell though. It's not my choice, but I'll go to
No,
hell.
no, you choose it.
But he doesn't believe in hell. Why
Yeah,
do you
why don't we
choose
about hell?
it?
Yeah, why are you
choose
concerned about hell?
There is no hell
exists.
anyway. I don't believe it, but I'm just saying you.
Why are you here? Why are you here?
So he sort of flipped it on him, and he said, like, if you don't even believe in it, why are you worried about it?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's like there are people who say they don't... People feel, especially some guys or some girls, I'm never going to die. But that doesn't... Oh, you feel great. But that doesn't remove the reality of death, which is the biggest reality of this life.
Biggest.
Yeah.
Like,
People
there-
have denied God. People have denied hell. People have denied heaven.
You can say everything is a simulation.
Yeah.
This is actually one way of thinking. Death is death.
Yeah. There's no... That is the biggest reality of life.
Mhm.
It's going to come.
And that is why the Quran repeats the afterlife. The idea of Yawm al-Qiyamah as well. The idea of you being responsible again and again and again.
كُلُّ نَفْسٍ ذَائِقَةُ الْمَوْتِ. Every soul will taste death. Every soul will taste death. Repeated within the Quran.
The angel of death will feel death.
Yep.
So like it goes full circle. Like there is no creation that will not feel death. And so that's interesting because
Actually, there's a very famous, since we're talking about death, Sulaiman alayhi salam, mashallah, very big prophet of Allah, speaks to animals, controls the wind, controls the jinns. So Sulaiman alayhi salam, he's on his throne, right? And his companions, he had his own sahaba. An individual dressed, never seen before, but any of the companions comes in, and his focus is on one companion.
that
So
was sitting beside Sulaiman alayhi salam.
Near about,
Yeah,
sir.
about.
But anyway, he comes in and he's talking to Sulaiman alayhi salam. Assalamu alaikum wa alaikum assalam. And his attention is on this one companion. The companion, out of adab, whatever you want to say, doesn't interrupt. Why? Well, they're having a conversation, even though he's looking at me.
The man is looking
Looking
straight at the companion.
And maybe he's like kind of doing this,
Yeah.
but the attention, vast majority of the time, is on this companion.
Which you can imagine in a conversation. If you're sitting in a group of
Yeah.
people, if someone walks in and they're just looking at you,
Yeah,
you'd be freaked out.
Yeah, like you're trying to throw some hands at this.
Yeah.
Anyways, so this companion, this individual comes in, leaves, but like he's looking at him as he's leaving. Kind of just leaves. This man is scared. He's like, Sulaiman alayhi salam, what was that? Right? And the mafhum of the hadith, obviously. What was that? Sulaiman alayhi salam, he's like, do you know who that was? No. That was the angel of death. Why was he looking at me? Sulaiman alayhi salam, I'm not sure. He's like, you know what? I'm so scared. Can you transport me, because I feel like I'm next, into a place that's so far away from here? So, Sulaiman alayhi salam, using the wind, picks up that individual, sends him to some far off location. All right. Some time passes. Hazrat Israel alayhi salam, the angel of death, comes back, talks to Sulaiman alayhi salam. Sulaiman alayhi salam remembers the Sahabi. So he's like, there was that companion last time you came, you kept staring at him. Whatever happened to that companion? Like, oh, Israel alayhi salam speaking. He says, oh yeah, that companion, I was so perplexed because right after meeting you last time I was here, I was supposed to take his soul in a far off location. And I thought to myself, if this guy's here, how am I going to get his soul over there? So I was so perplexed. I kept looking at him. And by Allah, the moment I got there, that man was already there.
SubhanAllah.
So
Every
it's just,
soul's
it's
gonna
just,
taste.
Kullu nafsin dha'iqatul maut. Wherever it's written, you're going to meet
That's
death.
like that's a common truth at this
Yeah,
point. If you're
yeah.
born, you will die.
regardless of race, religion, anything, you're gonna die. And that's why dawah is so important, because what you're trying to do and portray is, like, for example, I'm wearing a thobe.
Mhm.
Somebody looks at me, wears the thobe, I get a reward for that,
SubhanAllah.
right? I get a beard. Somebody looks at me, gets a beard. Regardless of whatever,
Yep.
they've kept a beard because I've kept a beard for the sake of the religion of Islam. What ends up happening? I get the reward. I
Yeah,
pray somebody
whoever
else
guides
first.
someone to goodness will have a reward similar to the one who does it.
That's dawah. That's the
Same
reward
Muslim.
you get. That's the reward you get for being a da'i. But you cannot compel someone. You have to show it. They have to feel the lazza.
And the word in the hadith is convey from me, even if it's one verse.
Yes.
Convey. And it's not compulse
Compulse,
someone
yeah.
or manipulate or all these. No, that's
Force.
Force. That is not what da'wah is, to be very clear. And so we were, and on this topic of like individuals and ways of da'wah, there's also very big, influential figures who are forms of da'wah, right? So let's take an example. Modern day sports, and I'm going to get to not so modern, but we look at in UFC or in basketball, individuals who propagate their social media is just filled with them going to Umrah or them, going to a masjid or listening to someone reading the Quran,
Reading the Quran,
or something like that, like Habib or Islam Makhajev and these different type of role models. They don't say that like we're perfect, but they make it very clear that they're doing their best and they're propagating Islam at a very high level of media. Similarly, this goes for all the different sports. It goes for individuals and communities. But who I want to bring up is Muhammad Ali, right?
Modern day Khabib, a little bit behind. We go to Muhammad Ali.
Right? Because he, in his later part, when he now is coming to terms a lot more with subhanAllah, his faith and becoming more of a person who propagates, because he was blessed with a very poetic tongue, right? He was blessed with the power of swaying others with words.
Float like a butterfly, sting like a bee.
Yeah, he knew how to speak to people, and he knew, and this just rolled off his tongue.
Yeah.
And he subhanAllah, like, and
I make medicine sick.
I make medicine sick. And so he was asked by this young lad, what are you going to do after boxing? So I pulled up the video, actually.
This kid asked Muhammad Ali, what is he going to do when he retires?
Get ready to meet God. Don't planes blow up in this country sometime and crash? Don't people die every day?
Not every day.
It's a scary thing to think that I'm going to hell to burn eternally forever. When I get out of boxing or when I'm through, I'm going to do all I can to help people. God is watching me. God don't pray.
I'm going to do whatever is in my power to help people. He just defined dawah. That's the best form of dawah.
And he also just addressed what we were talking about death earlier.
Yeah.
Am I not going to die?
Yeah.
Am I not, like, I have to meet my Lord.
Praise me because I beat Joe Frazier. God don't give nothing about Joe Frazier. God don't care nothing about England or America as far as your wealth. It's all his. He wants to know, how do we treat each other? How do we help each other?
He was truly a wise speaker.
SubhanAllah. That was,
What a message, man.
that's dawah. Like, that, in my eyes, like, I don't think, you know, if you watch these UFC fights in their post-fight interviews, they talk about, you know, subhanallah, Palestine, and they talk about you know, looking out for those who are persecuted. And they there's this one interview with Khabib, and the interview is trying to like push at him and be like, talk about your opponent. Like, I heard he says he has mental health issues. Khabib's like, why should I talk about that? Right? Like, everyone has their own issues. Like, he didn't say that as someone. He didn't reference the Quran or Hadith. People know he's a Muslim, but they know, subhanAllah, that he has a very good character. And they respect him for his character. They respect him for the way he treats others. They know that he's a very kind person, a very caring person, that he has a huge, you know, lots of brothers and people who are with him.
Very true.
And Muhammad Ali, similarly, in this situation, in the way he spoke, is that he used his platform, right? SubhanAllah, people are blessed with different types of platforms. Businesses, they have wealth. Community, they have support of others. Politicians, they have the power to sit in groups of diverse communities and speak to people, right? And that actually reminds me, you shared something with me earlier today, which was an incident that happened in Scarborough, where a lady was
regarding the
verbally-
elections, there's an MP,
So
Salma
Salma
Zahid.
Zayed published this letter, and I
This
pulled
just
it up.
happened today. Apparently, one of her campaign individuals, they went to, I guess, door to door, because elections are happening April 28th, I think.
Yeah.
Whenever the elections are happening, April 28th, the elections are happening. So they went and she knocked on the door for someone, and when she knocked on the door, mashallah, hijabi, Muslim, young girl apparently, the person who opened the door just became racist, Islamophobic,
Confronted,
and she retreated.
began a verbal altercation, began to utter Islamophobic, racist slurs.
And I'm hoping, this is one side of the story, I'm hoping that our individuals who are Muslims, again, we're not supporting liberals, conservative, whatever. This is a apolitical platform. But something happened, and we're addressing that, and we're talking about that. I'm just hoping that the Muslims didn't say anything in retaliation.
Yeah.
I just hope we were silent. Okay?
I don't
That's
know
yours.
the whole story. And to be honest, this was just a small letter that Salma Zayed, one of the people running, shared. And they said, like, you know, regardless of your political affiliation, just be respectful.
That's the main thing.
And that also is in Islam, regardless of other people's affiliation with something, be respectful.
On a wider spectrum, the problem is the last decade or so, we've been forcing people to be politically correct to the extreme, where freedom of speech was infringed upon.
Or polarize an opinion.
Yeah, but now what we're doing is we're going to the other extreme where, no, we don't need to be politically incorrect, but I can say whatever the hell I want.
I have freedom of speech.
Why can't we just meet in the middle?
And be respectful. Like,
that's what Islam does, though.
You can have your opinion.
Yeah.
It's sort of like the whole idea of, the reason why I said polarize an opinion is because we've now become so clear with, no, these are my thoughts. This is what I believe in. Accept it.
Yeah.
No. As a Muslim, if the expectation to you on me is that you're a Muslim, you do your thing, but just don't push it on me, it's the same thing otherwise. You have your beliefs.
Man, for me, dawah, like, if I want you to follow me, let's say in the way I pray.
Yep.
Why would you follow the way I pray if I confront you and belittle you and make you angry? It doesn't work like that. It's more like, hey, why don't you check this out? Hey, let's go work out. Hey, let's do something together. Let's, again, back to my ustad, and the way sohbah teaches, the sohbah or of righteous people, how they do dawah is how we should learn to do dawah. Not confront. Be inclusive of everyone. Friendship, love, unity, humility. All of these things contribute to a society that should give dawah the way Rasulullah gave dawah.
And it's not easy, right? Like Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when he went to Madinah al-Munawwara, the battles then also happened. Like, there were many issues that happen, tribes betraying. But Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam introduced the aspect of um, peaceful struggle and retaliation, right? Is that how you, in a situation where all the odds are against you, you ensure that you are taking care of the constitution of Medina to Munawwara, included all the faiths. That's da'wah. That
Yeah.
is
One form of
for
da'wah,
for
certainly.
politicians. That is da'wah. Like when you are making it very clear that interfaith inclusivity, that is what it is. So when you want to refer to something, look at the constitution of
I
Medina.
mean, another story, a very long story, but long story short, the end, Rasulullah had a small bowl of milk. 72 people were given the milk. Abu Huraira gave it to Rasulullah. Rasulullah is like, no, Abu Huraira, you drink. Abu Huraira is like, no, Rasulullah, you drink. Then Rasulullah said something revolutionary. He says, the leader of a nation always drinks last.
Subhanallah.
What a line. So that's dawah as well.
And they weren't, subhanallah, like Medina to Munawwara then went on to become very, very successful and very, the region became successful. Then you know the story of the empire then rising, of the nation growing, the ummah growing. And so this is, and I'm going to use the word because people throw it around, jihad. Jihad, the word struggle, people throw it around and they say that jihad is you struggling against something or against someone. And someone went to me the other day and they said, I heard to be a good Muslim you have to commit jihad. What do you think jihad is? Like, oh, you have to commit some big act. Like, okay, let's tone it down a level.
People
jihad,
shouldn't be coming up to saying that, bro.
and
It's dangerous territory.
It was a whole thing. And I said, listen, simply put, our belief of jihad is that we internally struggle against evil, bad desires, struggling to become good, making the right decisions. That is what the definition of jihad is just struggle, struggling. So da'wah is not easy. Da'wah is struggle. Just because you think that you can make a video and post it, this podcast it's a form of da'wah as well. People listen to it.
I mean, that's the intention
Right?
behind it.
That's the intention behind it. It's not going to be easy. People go out there on the street and try to invite people. Maybe they won't get someone who wants to listen to their message. It's not going to be easy, but it's struggle. And so our teacher, Shaykh al-Islam, Dr. Tahir al-Qadri, he says that real jihad is to peacefully struggle for justice and human rights. And that basically means, you're serving humanity, serving others. And that's what Muhammad Ali also said, right?
Yep.
He wants to spend his life, what? Serving people.
Serving humanity.
And so, like, it's so awesome that all these da'is, all these big ustads and sheikhs, their whole concept of propagation is all the same.
Yeah.
It all boils down to just helping others, being a good person. It's not about yelling, arguing, and things like that, which it can be
Very true.
misconstrued as.
Very true.
And so I think we hit on a whole range of topics of da'wah. We talked about social media and we can talk about podcasts as well. Like, this is a form of da'wah. We pray it as.
These are vasail. See, dawah in and of itself is just showing people the beauty of Islam. Like, you want to boil it down, that's dawah.
Yep. I saw a very interesting video, and I'm hoping we can find it. Is that this individual, a wealthy individual, he makes reels, and he says he's on a podcast later on. He's like, you know why I post those videos of me driving in like a very nice car, Lamborghini? He's like, look closely at the video. My Lamborghini has calligraphy of the Quran and stuff like that. I'm like, interesting. I never thought of it that way, but if he feels like there's an audience that out there that maybe likes luxury materialism, and you want to slowly bring them to how Islam and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala provided you with all that, go for it, right? Like, that's...
Do something that you feel is good for Islam and good for humanity. And they are one and the same. Anything that's good for Islam will automatically be good for humanity.
100%.
Because that is Islam.
100%.
So if you can keep that in mind, I think it's a really good message to have as well. Do things that are good for humanity, they will be good for Islam. Do things that are good for Islam, they will be good for humanity.
And if you're a preacher,
that's dawah.
If you're a person who likes to preach, practice what you preach.
Yeah. Otherwise, your words won't have value.
The person who listens to you,
I mean, it's the same way. Like, if a doctor comes and says, take this medication, you'll take it because he has credentials behind it.
Mm-hmm.
If Abdul Qadir comes and says, hey, take this medication, would you take it?
Yep.
No, you won't. because Abdul Qadir gave it to you, but if a doctor gave it to you, you would take that medication.
No,
So that's the
100%.
exact same way Dawah works.
And I genuinely think that, like, so we explored this range of topics from the Quran, Hadith, influencers, podcasts, entertainment, reels.
Sorry, before we end, another kind of comment or thought kind of popped in my head. It's so important for a da'i or someone committing or concerning themselves with dawah, listen to understand, don't listen to respond.
Ooh.
That goes around because that's how debates start. And you know, Imam Shafi, he says a very interesting thing. I could win a debate with 1,000 knowledgeable people and lose a debate with one foolish one. Because sometimes if somebody's so ignorant, you're never going to win that. It's just going around. You're just hurting your own head. You're banging your head against the wall at that
You know,
point.
listening is just going to help you. Like, in your
Understand perspective, gain your ilm, understand them, see if it's even worth your time to be able to commit to helping this individual.
100%.
And
Listen,
then go
like,
out.
if you're doing
And be understanding.
if you're doing da'wah and you're Dr. Abdullah saying to listen in that situation, listening is something you should just have in every practice of your life, right? At home with your mother,
I wish we did.
you know, with your wife or spouse, right? Or listening is just how you should approach a conversation in the first place. If you're approaching every conversation as a listener, I'm sure much more people will have respect for whatever conversation we have.
Certainly.
Inshallah, I think I pray that we all become people who invite others through our good action,
Ameen.
good reputation, and
Ameen.
good message of the truth, and with
Ameen.
hikmah and wisdom. I pray you all are well, and inshallah catch you on the next episode. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.